to Twitter. Streaming now. YouTube.com/Michael Official. Okay. All right, we're gonna give people a sec to get in here. Gotta be a good way to hang out during these dark times. It's annoying because YouTube doesn't give notifications to people, so they have to watch my Twitter or be in my locals. There's some things I do want to talk about. I want to wait for us to get 100 people in here, then we can chat. I do like this light. It makes it all glowy. Yeah, so that is that. I hope everyone's doing okay. I'm having a fun weekend considering that I can't get a fucking haircut. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. It'll be fine. It'll be all fine. And we got 40 people in here already. I'm just gonna give it another minute. Then we could start talking about, I want to talk about Biden, I think I want to talk about Biden. Should I discuss how to go down a rabbit hole successfully? That might be a thing to do. Should I go through my shaving brush collection? So many choices for shitty content because we're all so bored with nothing to do. But we could all be bored together. So that's a real treat, I suppose. I went to the supermarket to get food, as one is wont to do. And they were all sold out of Fruity Pebbles, which I just got a box of last week. So I guess we can say that we're all suffering and the consequences are being felt by all of us. And this is a real crisis. Yeah, so one of the things, I was just tweeting this out 5 minutes ago, and I'm on the fence. Have you seen Mr. Jones? It's about Gareth Jones and his coverage of the Holodomor. I have not, but a lot of people have been tweeting at me about it. Thanks for the question, Derek. I think it is great to talk about the Holodomor. It's extremely important to discuss this genocide, this somewhat forgotten genocide in the West, and also just to talk about complicity and press complicity. So, and also to talk about the horrors of the Soviet Union. So I think these are all very, very healthy things. I think, it's kind of like when you have an abusive relationship and one day one of the partners, the victim, is like, no, I'm not doing this anymore, no. And the abuser is genuinely confused because they're like, we had a deal, like this was the deal, like what just changed? This has always been, we've had an understanding, this is how it works. And I think the times especially, Happy Easter, may zombie Jesus rise again, in his name I pray, peace be unto him. I think there is for decades, I think outlets, especially like the New York Times, have thought correctly that they've gotten away with it and that there would never be an accountability, or people working at those outlets not even getting away with it. It's that they never even realized themselves what they were involved in because it kind of went down the memory hole. And, part of cancel culture is this idea of, okay, let's go through someone's old tweets. And oh, you see this athlete when he was 16, he used racial slurs. You're not going to hire him for your team, are you? Let's ruin his life. Um, or even as a young adult, or as an adult. And then it's like, oh, okay, well, which is worse? Someone who, when they were nobody, used the N word on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, or someone who presents themselves as all the news that's fit to print and is explicitly telling its readers who look to it for information that there is no starvation in Ukraine, nor is there likely to be. It's a quote. That everything's fine. And not only are they saying this is our perspective, to say those other perspectives who are saying that people are being starved to death by the millions, they're lying because they have an anti-Soviet bias. And so not only are they running interference, they're also proactively attacking other outlets. And they got away with it for a very long time. And if there are films right now that are exposing their malevolence and, again, having their hands covered in blood from the genocide by starvation of millions of people and torture. I mean, you read Anne Applebaum's Red Famine, Stalin's attack on Ukraine, and it's the tactics they use are insane. And also, the tactics they use to keep it covered. And to have journalists, and this happens to this day, not with regards to genocide, but this tactic of attacking people who are asking questions, which is essentially the basis of journalism. You remember 4 years ago, you were told with a straight face repeatedly that if you thought it was odd that Hillary Clinton passed out in 70-degree weather, that you were a conspiracy theorist and a loon, and there's something wrong with you. We remember this pretty distinctly 4 years ago. And now we're about to be told that anyone who thinks it's odd that Joe Biden is shitting his pants on stage we told you it's a stutter. How dare you not ask further questions? We explicitly told you it's a stutter. Sit down and shut the fuck up. We told you. Like, this is their mentality. So I don't. Hillary Clinton is a minor issue in this regard. Joe Biden is a minor issue in this regard. Millions starved to death for political purposes. That's not minor. That's as bad as it gets. And this needs to be very recently. It's still to this day. Happy Easter to you and all. Thank you, Greg. Oh, that's very sweet of you. To this day, there are bills, I think, in the Illinois state legislature where they were trying to and Mike Malice. Okay, it took me a second, Chris. Thank you. There are still out, I think it was Illinois, where they were trying to force corporations that have been around for over 150 years in the States to go back and basically see how much of their profit was a result of slavery labor, to have them be like, okay, we're going to go after them now and kind of have reparations, right? And you can understand the logic there, where it's like, okay, you made money then, you've never made restitution. It's going to be pretty hard to find the descendants and make it direct, but you can understand the logic there to some extent. This was much more recent, and this is the intentional death by starvation of millions of people, and it's not a competition with slavery. Let me assure you, these are both atrocities that should absolutely be discussed and understood. So I am glad. How do you feel after my 20-minute rant? Oh yeah, I got on Skype with Greg earlier today, and he just got back from South Africa, and boy, were his arms tired, all about the Holodomor, about the current pandemic. So it was an interesting conversation. I'm using the word interesting as loosely as possible. It's just also at a point where I want to talk, just like I said this on, I think, Nightshade. This is very reminiscent of 9/11. The problem with 9/11, among the obvious very many problems, is you couldn't not hear about on the TV. Like there was nowhere else to go. So it was a situation. Um, so I think there's an increasing understanding, including among um, like hardcore lefties. I don't want to say hardcore. I don't know what the right word is. Who realize the Chomsky types who realize that for decades, the media has been beating the first ones to beat the beat the war drums, which means deaths of American soldiers, which means deaths of civilians overseas. Oh, haha, sorry, this is some cash. Buy a Men in Black memory eraser and use it on yourself. Okay, I think you mean I should. Yeah, I know what I'm gonna spend that money on. Okay, I'll erase my memory, buddy. Let me just finish my thought. My thought is there's an increasing understanding that I had that poll. I was shocked and delighted. I had a poll. I discussed this on the Blaze Super Share show, The World According to Stu, or Stu Does America, excuse me. And I had the poll. I said, which would you rather have? And a lot of times these polls, I'm just preemptively annoyed because I know that people are going to just have annoying responses. And I've been culling those out, and it's been very effective. So thankfully, I'm getting annoyed prematurely and unnecessarily. Which would you rather have? 9 as the Supreme Court, 9 random Democratic senators, or 9 random New York Times reporters? And I'm sure my audience is predominantly right of center. It was 75% they chose Democrats in the Senate, which I would have chosen easily. And when you see for years the argument among conservatives is like the Democrats, the CNN works for the Democrats, and now they're realizing, oh, wait a minute. You could say a lot of shitty things about Joe Biden, and he voted for the war. You could say shitty things about Dan Feinstein and China over there, and Schumer, and the rest of them. But it's like these people are not nowhere, but are not as malevolent as the typical New York Times reporter. And to have that epiphany happen in very quickly in very recent years, and an example I keep using on Nightshade, if you look at Gavin Newsom, if you look at Andrew Cuomo, very partisan, very left-wing, hardcore Democrats, you see how they talk about Trump. And even if they're attacking Trump because they're saying, okay, you're not doing enough to mitigate the damage of this pandemic, right? Then you have a reporter attacking the doctor saying, do you want to apologize for using the term Big Mama? And it's like, you are not operating. Now imagine, like, of the Supreme, like, who would you rather have in the Supreme Court, right? Someone like Cuomo, and you have to pick one, who is looking at the law in front of him, legal case, and he's saying, you know what? Trump's not being effective. He's incompetent. He's this and that. We need to get ventilators. We need to get people not sick. He's yelling at de Blasio, I'm not shutting down the state. That's going to make it worse than the cure. Or someone who's like, okay, we've got a case here. What terms did they use to refer to grandparents? Now, I know which judge I'd want to be in front of. It wouldn't even be a question. So this is very, very good that this is understandable, being happening. Okay, let me catch up on these. Red Pill book last stream. Call it your daily dose. I can't call it that because that's Tom Woods. Ben Garrison cover art. Can't do that either. You throwing pills out of a helicopter. I'm not doing a Pinochet cover. Elliot, these are not good advice. This is not good advice at all. We have Bolsonaro in Brazil who is advocating, like, murdering people. So this Pinochet thing, I get it. Like when I was on Rubin, if you watch carefully, the Tulsi look, I did not have shoes on. My socks are helicopter socks. That look was really thought out head to toe. But it's to a point. Yeah, at a certain point, like now it's not that funny to me. Do you think the threat of COVID is as we were being told, or do you think something else is going on? Japan pulled all their manufacturing from China. I do think it is as we're being told because largely because there's a lot of a lot of conflicting information, which to me tells that the elites are themselves unsure of what's happening. Number one, I don't know what's going on in China. I'm not believing anything out of China. Let's be fair there. I also think that when you have disparate countries all saying the same thing, there's two scenarios. One is the Illuminati, and they're all gotten together, or B, they're largely telling the truth. I don't think. An example I've been using all the time on different shows I've done recently is World War I versus the Great Depression, right? So They got us into World War One, the Great War Americans, and all these progressives were like, this is our chance to have the dress rehearsal for what a country would look like under centralized, federalized control, right? And this was their wet dream come to life. Like huge taxes, huge regulation, industry. We're running the country like a giant factory because we have an excuse, being this is the Great War, right? The people will swallow that pill. That said, I am very hesitant, and I do not have a very kind opinion of these people, of saying, well, because that's their goal, they're just going to do literally everything in their power to achieve that goal. I do think they thought going into war was the right thing against the Hun. And this was a very, and this is how the human mind works. If you want to have this kind of centralized, federalized control, and I'm giving you a reason, hey, if you go to war, you're going to get this, I'm going to tend to believe your reasons for getting to the war. So I'm perfectly capable of lying to myself as opposed to just really being sinister and conniving. So I think that's much more likely. So with COVID, they are seeing, I said this tweet out, I said, anyone very easily in 10 years, a politician could do this again and say, we did it before. It sucked, assuming we don't die. It sucked. We knew how to handle it. We'll get through it again. And people will smile and nod and say, yeah, you're right. And they'd be telling the truth. So just because something has a consequence that is very much in line with their long-term goal does not mean that everything we're being told is misinformation. So that's my position there. I'm not coming from a place of being informed on this specific issue. There's so much information out there around the world. I'm sure I have gaping holes in my knowledge. It's not even a question. I found out my girlfriend is from the same town as you, Lviv. Okay, so let me tell you about Lviv. So there are three famous people, at least, from Lviv. Ludwig von Mises was born there. Me, if you want to call me famous. I do not, really, but whatever. It's not like Mises is a household name, to be fair. And the third one is Leopold von Sacher-Masoch. I've mentioned this several times before. Now, people understand, some people, well, sometimes you don't realize it until someone says it, that sadism it comes from Marquis de Sade. It's named after a person, Sade, sadism. Masochism also comes from a person, Sacher-Masoch, and he would write poems, short stories. This is the 1800s, I believe, about women being violent toward men and being dominant and so on. And his wife apparently said to him, Leopold, why do you keep writing these stories about women in fur coats whipping men? And he said, if you did it more often, I wouldn't have to. So the song Venus in Furs by the Velvet Underground is a reference to his most famous story of masochism. So my point is, you should feel free to choke her. Make sure you do a blood choke, which is here, and not an air choke, which is here. So look it up if you can't figure it out. Let me see what I missed. Okay. Thank you, Sam. Oh, angel and devil. That's these emojis are pretty darn cute. So that's what I'm thinking now with this. So let's talk about Biden, I think, a little bit. So I am amazed and very impressed that he got the nomination. Because, he was a disaster. Cops are behaving insanely tyrannical during this. Total red pill. You've successfully convinced me to view them more the way you do. Total distrust. You know what? I gotta tell you, Gavin, I would not consider cop behavior under these circumstances to be indicative. And here's why. Because if I were a cop and I have to be in the streets and I'm in contact with people who are deranged and not acting appropriately, that means the odds are really, really high that I'm going to get it. And these are not high IQ individuals as a rule. Doesn't mean they're bad people. And that stress of being you have to, and also I think 1 in 8 in New York have it. That stress combined with being in these streets that are empty is enough to do a number on a lot of people. So I think the general population, the perception, I was talking about this with Greg earlier today, or rather I was listening to him rant for 20 minutes, is that, and I think everyone will agree, everyone seems to be under the impression that we need to lock shit down as much as possible till this gets better, right? And that's not even a question. And we all have to agree to do this. So I think if you're the one who has to enforce this, and it's kind of like you're the one who eats he takes a shit at the party and doesn't flush, like you're ruining it for everybody. It's like, dude, you know what we have to do. This is for all our own good. You're making us sick. Why are you outside? I think that's gonna really escalate their aggression, and I wouldn't really blame them. What's Venus and Furs, your favorite song? Cool. People think the corporate media or government is being misleading to COVID. They are responding to their incentives. Yeah. I think it'd be very hard to have information about this virus, even in China, and not have it come out because there's such an interest and there's such a cost. So a lot of it, how they're framing it, Greg was saying earlier, and I agree with him, that politicians are going to err on the side of caution. Because if you do nothing and there's 1 million deaths, right, and you lock people down and there's and there's 2 million deaths, the first person is going to be looked at worse, even though he had less deaths, because it's going to be like, look, you didn't do anything and 1 million people died. Whereas the second one will be like, you did everything and 2 million people died. You couldn't have done any better. So the incentives are perverse there and not respective of the data. So that's, I think, very much what is going on there. I got to disagree a little bit. I don't think the corporate press is responding to incentives, because their behavior during this is almost exactly the same as it is under normal circumstances. And I'm surprised at how brazen they are and how shameless they are. And I'm seeing a lot of, I don't think it's just red pill people, of eye rolling and be like, are you fucking kidding me? When you have deep, I retweeted this the other day. I forget where it was. You'll have to find it on my timeline. When you have deep state operatives, I think the guy was the head of I forget what agency, under that name said, this story is not true, as we told CNN earlier. To explicitly say CNN is lying as the blue check Twitter account of an official government agency, I think that's unprecedented. And it's also impressive for CNN to be that brazen. It's just to that level, or maybe it's not. I don't know. But the point is, I don't think they're changing their behavior. I think they're doubling down, and it's really weird, especially today. Bringing back to Biden, what happens if Biden is asked about that woman and he says he can't remember? He came out with a statement already. He said she's full of shit. I gotta tell you, I believe Biden, and here's why I believe Biden. Because there was a Business Insider story I retweeted, and the Business Insider story had a list of all the women that Biden made feel uncomfortable. And if you look at them, all the things he's doing behind the scenes that they're accusing him of, and I believe them, I believe all those women, is not anything he doesn't do in front of the cameras. His behavior is consistent. He does not have boundaries when it comes to being physical with people. He does not realize or care. I can't speak to his mind that this is inappropriate or unacceptable. Maybe no one's ever told him that. If you're in the Senate, when you were elected to the Senate at 29, you get away with a lot of crap, right? I don't think it's a thin line. I think it's a very, very thick line between giving someone a kiss on the cheek and a hug in a creepy way, and maybe you're making a pass at them, maybe, and literally sticking your hand up someone's skirt. I don't think it's the same scenario at all, even if you're a crazy old man. So and apparently there are articles saying her story has changed over time, but I tend to believe him in this circumstance. I also think just because someone is creepy and something is visually disturbing doesn't mean that there's more there. I think we tend to fill in like, oh my God, if he's like this in public, maybe he's like this. What's he like in private? A lot of times these people are fucked up in public because they're fucked up in private. The ones that are the scary ones are the ones who are normal in public, and the ones who are fucked up in private. Here's a good example. I read this book about The View, the show The View, which came out last year. You can find it on my Goodreads. I forgot what it's called. The View pretended the book didn't come out. And there was this great line, I couldn't believe it on the record, from one of the executive producers. And he said, Rosie O'Donnell's biggest skill is being able to persuade the public that she isn't profoundly mentally ill. And there are other quotes in the book where he's talking about like this woman's not like, oh, she's a bitch, she's mean. He's like, no. He's like, I'm not, like, whether you like her or not, he's like, you don't understand. She's legitimately crazy. And like, she'll freak out over things that never happened and blah, blah, blah. He goes, this is not a personality conflict. This is literally a mentally ill, crazy person. So that is, again, the really scary ones. Okay, what's the next one? Your work. Okay, hold on. Have you ever um considered giving the S&M lifestyle a whirl? If you mean like that whole subculture, I feel like it's way too ritualized and and like it's too much outfits. Like it's too cosplay for me, and it seems insincere. So I don't. It doesn't appeal to me in that regard at all. The incentives of the press isn't a popular vote. I think the corporate press is losing the control and are flailing harder. Yeah, I agree with you. But if they were responding to incentives and they want to maintain control, I think they would change their strategy. And the fact they haven't either means that they don't realize consciously it's a problem or they don't have the capacity. It's a real question. I mean, I think they're collapsing in real time. At the same time, this could be my relentless optimism talking. But again, that woman, I forget whatever her name is. I apologize for PBS, I believe. She's on there yelling at the black doctor. And it's also someone else had this tweet. I retweeted. It was amazing. Like 2 weeks ago. Remember, this was CNN. CNN had this headline. Oh, like all the people in Trump's disease task force are white. And he's like, okay, we got. They didn't get some fucking janitor and put him in a surgeon outfit. They found a bona fide, legitimate doctor who's black. Because at this time, no one's thinking about party. Everyone's like, let's get people well. This is not a Republican Democrat thing. When Reagan got shot very famously, as he's dying on the table, bleeding out, he turns to the doctor and he goes, I hope you're all Republicans. And they go, we're all Republicans today, Mr. President. And they were the doctor was a Democrat, but it's like, you're not, the president's dying. You're not like, well, I don't know. George Bush might do better. So let's. And as soon as they get a black doctor up in there, they're calling him Uncle Tom, and they're yelling at his terminology. You're referring to grandma as Big Mama, which I'm sure he probably does or has friends who do. This is a colloquialism, and it's like, holy shit, you people are depraved and malevolent. Okay, hello, please consider this cost of labor to follow Anna and spend the rest on Beppis. Okay, so I have tweeted her, and a lot of people have tweeted her to do my show, or vice versa, a lot. She's ignored it all. I would love to do it. I would love to have her on my show. We have a lot in common. She managed to land Steve Bannon and Tulsi. More power to them. But I don't. So I guess I'm not. I can't speak for her why she's not interested. I got no. It's open red carpet, open arms for her. Your work is a mitzvah. Thank you. Well, that's very kind of you. Thank you, Mr. Vlad. Thank you so much. Okay, wait, hold on. Oh, there's a lot. Oh, God, you guys. Greg, you're okay. Greg's paying my rent. Okay, it's hard to know. I think the corporate press's incentive is more in line with the religious idea of progressivism. This would explain their failing. Success for decades doesn't take a year to change your strategy. I am finding it harder and harder to understand how they are working. It's just very hard for me, given that all of us, we all have different backgrounds, we all have different jobs, right? For all of us, we're all making big changes. Like I made major changes to my life. I made changes to my show. I made changes to Nightshade. I'm making a point to stream more. People need that interactivity. And so for an entire class, many of whom they all have family members who are, suffering and doing this, to not change their behavior at all, it just seems odd to me. It doesn't resonate somehow. Something's not clicking. Will China and Russia team up to break the back of the U.S. empire by undermining the U.S. dollar, and is that a bad thing? I don't think so. I think the biggest threat to the U.S. dollar is this huge spending, but I'm not even that worried about the U.S. dollar. I'm worried about the worldwide economy. So it's I'm not. Everyone is thinking about like June when this is all over. I'm like, we're not. You are. You know what this is like? This is like when Hillary Clinton, in her mind, didn't campaign in Michigan, and she was like figuring out who she's gonna have for Secretary of State. It's like, let's get through the election first, and that's really what it's like for a lot of people. I think a lot of us, we all be like, okay, what's it gonna be like when restaurants reopen? Which restaurant am I gonna go to first? It's like, hold on a minute. We don't know what this is going to look like. This could be a long time coming. So that's, even though Peter Thiel has very anarchistic tendencies, his staff won't have the same outlook. Thus, we can assume they won't be able to pivot from an instructive strategy as fast as he might himself. Sure, but there's so many of them, and the fact that they're all in lockstep, you would think some of the more indie ones would be like changing their strategy. Because I don't know. I don't I do not believe that the people at the top at the New York Times, at the Washington Post, are dumb and completely oblivious to signals from the market and the readership. I don't believe that. They're not. So I'm having it hard to reconcile that belief, those two beliefs, with their behavior. I don't get it. So I'm wrong somehow. Something I'm not adding up. Um, okay, here's one from. I hope this is fun for you guys. Anchor. Do you think you'll be discussing the Duncan Lemon shooting or interviewing anyone about it? Just curious, as if you're worried about having enough information on the story about commenting. Okay, so I literally don't know anything about Duncan Lemp. Okay, literally nothing. Nothing, nothing, nothing. All I know is the phrase Duncan Lemp shooting. Okay, and one or more people were tweeting at me very aggressively about, oh, you need to talk about this. And my rule is I'm not going to validate bad behavior out of principle. So if someone is being really fucking obnoxious and being like, oh, you're an asshole because you haven't talked about this, and it's something I don't know what it is, I'm not going to click through. I'm going to be like, go fuck yourself. So I will look at it now because you came at it in a nice, normal way. But that was why I still don't know. I'm going to write this down right now. I'll cover it on Nightshade, and I'll talk about Dave Smith when we record. So that was the situation there. And I think a lot of social media is based on the presumption, which is not unwarranted, that the person you're interacting with is going to be hostile and not receptive to what you have to say. So you might as well, it's like sour grapes, right? Well, fuck them, they're an idiot anyway. So I'm just going to come at them. I'm going to fast forward in my head to how this interaction is going to be. They're not going to care what I have to say. Oh, I knew they weren't going to care what I have to say. Fuck you, you're not going to have to say, but you should click on this link. It's like, well, you know, if you came at it more normally, I actually, and this is, I might be the very rare exception, would have listened to what you have to say. So let me write this down right now. Duncan. And maybe it's unfair if someone is shot and I'm guessing killed, if you're going to say, if I'm going to, but that's just how you have to have some filter. And any filter is going to have, is going to filter out things you want to get through, and it's not going to filter out things you do want to get through. That's the problem with any filter. I think it might be some of what's going on with the corporate press. They can't pivot strategy. I'm not talking about the average journal, though. They spread the gospel. The gospel isn't working. They spread harder. I'm not talking about the average journal. I'm talking about Dean Banquet from the Times. I'm talking about whoever runs the Post. I'm talking about whoever's running MSNBC. I don't, the fact that like the Times being made an ass of right now by John Levine. John Levine isn't some kind of weird, he's from the Post. He's not some kind of crazy, you know, alt-right fringe figure. This isn't, you know, what's his name? Who's the one who makes those? Mr. Mideker? Is that the one I'm thinking of? So I don't get it. Hold on. Okay, hold on. Wait. I'm going to catch up on these. Hey, Michael, could you wish my friend Matt a happy birthday, please? Oh, that's an easy one. Happy birthday, Matt. 412. Okay. So how old is he? Well, it doesn't really matter, but I hope he's having a good birthday. This is my. I'm gonna catch up with the super chats. I'm gonna tell you guys a story. I see this at. Hold on, Greg. I see this at work weekly. The top of the company is very scared. The massive employees, they modulate their opinions and even change them over time. I know enough about people that work in the New York Times that that's not their corporate culture there. I promise. It's easier to change your mind while having economic success than to go against the grain politically while going against the grain in your business area. I get it, but I don't think they're going against the grain politically if they were focused more on the virus and less on making Trump out to be an asshole. I don't think that's where the median American is. Clappy, I'm paying you to say Jill Whitehead. Okay, I'll say Jill Whitehead. That's an easy one. America, I agree with you, Chris. Fuck, I had it and I lost it. Shit, shit, shit. Well, that's Alzheimer's for you. I completely forgot what I was going to talk about. Oh, wait, it's coming back to me. It was something on Twitter. Um, nope, it's gone. There was something. Oh, my friends. Yeah. Okay, so this is one of the things I always am. I try to. I'm not a nice person, but one of the things I give people, and I would hope to get, although I don't expect to, is the benefit of the doubt. So I don't tend to attack strangers unless they are professionals and should know better. And even then, I'm not going to attack them personally unless they are being blatant cathedral operatives. And it's very the the mass has an incredibly poor understanding of economics. They're driven by their feelings. My colleagues are incredibly smart and they're completely retarded in political theory and economics. I understand what you're saying. I just don't agree that that's how the New York Times and the Washington Post operate, especially at the top. They that's not how they work. Have you read The Orphan Master's Son? I have not. I have not read it. I had enough nonfiction with them that I didn't want to read the fiction. Okay, so one of the things I really hate on social media is I think, Greg, we're also at Plato's cave when it comes to these organizations. So it's easy to speculate about a lot of things, but I have more information than you guys about how these outlets operate from my career. That it something is not adding up with the data I have, not my perspective, but the data I have and how they are behaving. That's all I'm saying. Um, so, and I can see this is giving you making you screech, but I mean this is just where I'm coming from. So, um, one of the things I really hate is how it's the norm on Twitter and probably on Facebook to just go up to someone who you don't know and be like, "Oh, you're a fucking idiot." And I hate it and despise it because it's like, okay, you found an idiot on Twitter. This is your accomplishment for the day. And they don't understand also that if I call you an idiot, it's perfectly possible we're both idiots. Doesn't mean that I'm smart. Thank you. Jill Whitehead enjoyed you saying her name. I don't know who that is. Do I have to look this person up? Like, is this some kind of 1488 code that I don't realize about? Nope. Okay. Are you gonna like take that clip and then like auto tune it to something? You like comic heroes like Anarchy? The question. I do. I'm fine with what you're saying. I'm making educated guess. Most likely I'm wrong. We don't know is the point. I understand your yeah. We don't know. Anarchy. I don't like the character. He's annoying. The question. I love the look a lot more than the comic. So, my friend was supposed to get married yesterday. My friend Zoe, who's the best, and my other friend Josh, and it's really rare when there's a couple and they're both awesome. You know, usually it's the girl who's like, all right, we got to put up with her, but we got a good crew, and they're both part of the crew, and you know when we do these bro trips, like sometimes the couple of the girls come along and they're a complete asset and they can hang, and it's just great. Greg met them when we were in Montreal, and so I was asked to be their witness at their wedding at City Hall on Wednesday, and the you know the technical legal wedding, and then Saturday was supposed to be yesterday was supposed to be their actual wedding, and you know I checked in on them, you know, both days. This was going to be one of the big honors of my life. Like I'm the one who's going to be your witness to your wedding. This is really means a lot, and it's really special, and it was a huge compliment. And Uh, did you watch Eric Weinstein and Rogan? I have not. It was interesting to see leftists come up with new names for the cathedral and the fringe. Eric should read your book. Um, yeah, I hate it when yeah, I haven't watched it though. I let them come up with new names. I don't think they're gonna it's like coming up with you have seniority will trump novelty in this regard. Okay, to the pleb and the chaps that think I'm ruining myself, sending you super chats. LOL, you must be new here, fellow pleb. They are awesome, yes. Okay. You're super chatting to talk to other people. Anyway, so I was on Messenger with her, giving her a pep talk. What can I say? It's horrible. You know, the weddings. This is every girl's dream, and Josh really knocked it out of the park with both the wedding ring and the engagement ring. He had this uncut. I never even heard of this uncut diamonds. Like it was just this like just sick stuff. I was very. I love it when people go for something unique and special. That to me is that's what I'm all about. I love unique artisans. I try to promote them whenever they come across my desk. I've done it on Rogan several times. None of these people paid me. I'm just like I'm happy to sing their praises because I think talented people deserve a wider audience, and it also makes us all realize, wait a minute, there's so much great crap out there. I can't be that depressed. There's so much to discover. And she says to me, she just goes, "I'm just sick of living through historical events." And I remember this screenplay I wrote, which never got produced, but it will. It's one of the best things I've ever written about the band from the 80s, Rubber Rodeo, and this is how I met Harvey Picar. And what they did is I'm sending cash to Mike to talk to you dummies in chat. Who's Mike? That's how high my mom's credit card limit is. Um, and the band, so they combined punk and country, and they were kind of trolls. They were trolls. Actually, I didn't even think about it because Trish, the singer, she had a Dolly Parton wig, blonde curls, and a big crinoline dress. And they were there, and you look at them and like gold lame suits, and you're like, are they joking or not? I guess I never put two and two together. They were trolls, and they had a song, and it was doing well. And they were about to go on tour, and like the week before the tour, like they pulled the plug, the record company, and that's it. It's game over. And this was what you've been working for years. And Trish was just hysterical. And there's just one point in real life, and she didn't say it the way I have her say it in the script, but the way I had it was much more poignant. She just goes, "I'm so sick of this cowboy shit." Like at a certain point, you're like, I'm just tired. Like I don't want to be brave. I don't want to be strong. I just want it to be over. And we all felt that when we're in dark places where it's just like, yeah, I'm strong. Yeah, I can handle this. Rubber Rodeo is the band name. Yeah, I'm strong. Yeah, I can handle this. I know I can get through it. I know this isn't gonna break me. I know it's not gonna destroy me. I just want it to be over. Like I don't. I just need it to be done. And when she said that to me, it resonated. When she's just like, I'm sick of living through historical events. Like, and she knows yesterday was gonna suck. Hey, Mike, thanks for streams. LOL at Greg. Thanks, Michael. Um, and you could just imagine her. She's like, yeah, I know I'm gonna be fine tomorrow, and I know I'm still gonna get married, and we live together, we love each other, and that's what matters. But I still wanted today to be my wedding day. You know, you know exactly what's going through her head. And I said, tweet that out, and I'll retweet it. And she tweets out, I'm sick of living through historical events. And, and I I retweeted it. You know, maybe get her some followers. And someone wrote back, your ancestors would be embarrassed of you. And someone else just goes, suck it up, like people die. And I'm just like, why is your impulse when someone says an expression of tired to be like, suck it up? You're saying no one ever, it's appropriate for them to just be like, I'm tired? I just, Rosa Parks is attributed inaccurately, historically, when she didn't want to move seats in the bus, she said, I'm tired. That she did not say that, but that's what she's accused of. But it's like, why is your first impulse just full-blown aggression to a stranger? Like, this is what I talk about how, and one guy called out on it, he could not be more apologetic. He's like, holy shit, he's like a retired military guy. He's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. And you know, he felt like, oh my God, what have I done? It's like, this is what I talk about, people having not only no empathy, but no interest in empathy. Like, why is it such a goal for you and something you just can't wait to just yell at a stranger? How is this really making your life better? I don't see how. Maybe that's because I'm lacking empathy here. Okay, let's catch up on this. In his second term, will Trump be untethered enough to start with Iran? Will be coaxed by Pompeo? I think Trump is inherently very anti-war. He, by all indications that I've seen, I think the fact that he fired Bolton, I'm sure, you know what I mean? I think the fact that the corporate press was praising him when he bombed Syria, yelling at him another time to go into Syria, and he didn't respond. So, and I think, frankly, there's enough of a contrarian in him that if the New York Times says you should do something, he's like, oh, really? Well, I'm not going to do it. I don't even know why. I don't have to know why. I just know you're wrong and evil. What's this one? Malice. Do you think there's a possibility the fiat system could collapse? How much Bitcoin do you own? I own a fair amount. It's not worth what I paid for it at the time, but that's okay. I don't think the fiat system will collapse. Okay. I'm going to be pedantic, then I'll give you a real answer. Literally, there's a possibility it could collapse. I mean, that's you can't say there isn't. Even under the best of times, there's a possibility. Fine. I don't think it's likely. I do think very quickly you'd have all the big Federal Reserve people around the world and the IMF people would sit down and they'd have their plan and they'd basically figure out a way to suck this debt up. I don't think they're going to sit in their hands. And I do think they have enough power to do something about it. Especially if there's a worldwide understanding that these were unusual circumstances and not like the stock market of 1929. Kim Jong-Chris's surprise, working with CCP to unleash Wuhan virus across the world, and elite caught off guard and stumped, like you said earlier. I don't think this is Kim Jong-un's doing at all. At all. And he's the last person who'd want to work with them to unleash it across the world because North Korea has the strongest borders of any country. They don't even allow information. How are they going to allow a virus to cross borders? So I don't think this was intentional on their part. I mean, they're the first ones who got hit. So what's your view on central banking? Against. What do you think about the Austrians who want to abolish Federal Reserve and go to gold standard? Zdarovia, Lvova, all the best. Gold standard is much better than what we have. It's still not as good as it could be. I'm an anarchist. I don't think I'm not informed enough or deviationist enough to have anything interesting to say on the subject other than standard anarchist perspectives. I'm very much for private money, and I'm sure you know why. Would you be interested in talking to Billy Corrigan? Yes, Billy knows who I am. Don't you know who I am? He is red-pilled to death. He was supposed to do Ralph Sutton's show, and I told Ralph, he knows who I am. Ask him if he'll do You're Welcome. But Billy flaked at like the last minute of Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll show, SDR show, so that fell through. Okay, hold on. Popping in for a minute to give you some bucks. Gotta run and with the fam, but keep doing what you do. Thank you, Sean, and hi to the family. I'm glad you guys are sticking together and having fun. So when I've lashed out online unfairly, it was because I was mad at someone else and I couldn't confront them. Getting toxic people out of my life has reduced my Twitter spats. Yeah, this is another thing. Like, I was really proud of myself because I thought this was obvious, but apparently got such traffic that it wasn't obvious. Maybe it wasn't obvious the way I put it. If you're going to engage with someone on social media, what I ask myself is, what evidence do I have that this person is capable of and interested in sincere discourse? If my default setting is not engagement, my default setting is to run away and disengage as quickly as possible. That's why a lot of people, when they're like, oh, you're too much of a coward to even answer my question. Cool. You're going to think I'm a coward regardless, and it's of no value to me one way or another. I'm not seeking your approval, and I don't fear your disdain. So this makes you a lot happy. I don't find it this produce happiness to be arguing with someone, unless they're full-blown like idiot. Then it's kind of funny to be like, oh my god, this is amazing. But if it's someone who's just like halfway smart and you're arguing with them, what does that gain you? I don't get it. It's just it gets you worked up, so there's that energy boost, but in the long term, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and it leads to misanthropy, it leads to cynicism. There's so many great people. Go to malice.locals.com. I'm serious. Go there. We have a great 2,000 people. We have a great community. Everyone's an asshole in the good way, but no one's hostile to each other. There's not been one incident where people are nasty. Everyone is like, okay, here's some articles. I got some soap. Here's this. Malice, what do you think about that? Everyone has a good time. And that's exactly what I want. I feel like I'm talking like Trump now. this idea that this democratic idea that everyone's opinion is valuable and you should care what someone thinks, I'm completely opposed to it. Second vote for Billy Corrigan. It's not up to me. And that's why I block people very heavily. Because then some of you guys, are going to be replying to me and they're going to hit you as a means to getting at me. And I'm like, I don't need that. I want you guys to feel welcome and have a fun time. For when you do the soap stream, Shea Moisture. Oh no, that's so funny. Makes an African black face mask. You're not Congoladian, but it might improve your complexion. Oh my god, that is going on the shopping list. Oh my god, that is so funny, Peter. Oh my. So did I ever? I never told you this. Should I bring it up on Ruben or should I bring it up now? Ruben's gonna do my show in a couple of weeks because his book's coming out. Um. Um. Yeah, I'll bring it up with him. It's anyway. Basically, when I was on his show, I rubbed chocolate on my face like I was because of Willy Wonka reference, and then I said, "Oh God, I think it just became the governor of Virginia." Um, okay, hold on. And thanks for all this. Let me see if there's any soap contributions. Thanks so much for chipping in all the soaps. I'm almost ready to do the show. I've got I think I'm gonna have 50. How do you feel about Joe's campaign manager preemptively blocking you? I don't know if it was preemptive. He may have seen something I've written or something like that, so I don't know that's preemptive, John. More nukes coming. Do you think Biden will be swapped out? Um, I am very okay. I know people are gonna get upset. I'm gonna speak my truth, my lived experience. I feel bad for Joe Biden. Okay? I don't think Joe Biden is a great person. I don't think he's a horrible person. And I know Ukraine and I know all this shit. And I know and he was a politician, he voted for war. I get it. I get it. I'm just saying at a certain point, I think he's going to be at this certain point, it really is an old man who's gone through a lot of tragedy. And at a certain point, maybe it's not empathy, but I do sympathize when you're this old politician who's been in the Senate all your life and you've just been basically a party man for the Democratic Party, party hack, and now you're going to be just nuked and eviscerated mercilessly to the amusement of everyone, and knowing your family's watching this and they can't do shit about it, on some level I'm like, okay, stop, he's already dead. So I don't know that he's going to make it through November, if only from health reasons. I think it is insane. It is absolutely insane that people think he's going to give Hillary the VP as if she'd accept it, and then he's going to drop out. Like, why do they need to put her as VP? If he drops out, she would be the consensus candidate, and they'd be smart to run her. Of everyone they have, she'd be the best bet, because she did have more votes than Trump in last election. There's this precedent. She's loyal to the party, blah, blah, blah. They're not going to get... You can't make the... Bernie would make the argument, oh, I came in second, but they're like, well, you still lost. So we're going to have the party people get together. They'd give it to her, and they'd be smart to do it. So, and I think that could happen at any time, because we all saw it very publicly. It's the party that put him into power, into this position, before Super Tuesday. It was very, very public and very brazen. Bill's creation of Microsoft was more valuable to humanity than the Gates Foundation is. Discuss. Well, I mean, there's nothing to discuss. That's a given. Yaron Brook has his whole speech about capitalism morality. This is the speech Yaron Brook, head of the Ayn Rand Institute, gives all the time. He literally gives this as an example. He goes, when we think about morality, we think of Mother Teresa, blah, blah, blah. He's like, well, what about Bill Gates? It's like, well, it's kind of ambiguous because, yeah, he did great things, but he got paid for it. And he's like, it's not ambiguous. He should be happy. He's wonderful. So I don't think this is even, this isn't a gotcha question. It's an easy question, dude. You know this. Come on. Oh my God, puppy. Oh, you're a puppy. So thoughts on Bill Gates? What the fuck? Did I just get a link somewhere in some Bill Gates organization? I don't know anything about his vaccine certification plans at all. At all. So I can't speak on that. I'm sorry, Gecko. Locals is a great community. I'm having a lot of fun there. Like, I really am. And it's a safe space. It's really funny. So if you look at the landing page, like it says, join locals to support free speech for everybody. I said this before. And I got in the horn with them. I go, I don't believe in free speech. I don't like that term, and I don't like what it implies. So now mine says join locals to support great discord and great discourse. So there's David. David, you had the great idea about the ice cream, and we're gonna do potato chips too. Hold on a second. Your Jessica Tarlov interview was good. She's very thoughtful, honest, and likable for a Dem. You're good interviewing. Where is Kennedy? To get anyone from Fox, like one of their big people, it's a whole huge nightmare to go through. Like, they're very weird about letting them interview in other places. So it's a headache in that regard. That's what's going on there, David. Where do you think, because you have to go through standards of practices, and it's a whole paper trail, and blah, 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 and then you don't do it. It's the whole thing. Where do you think musicians, artists sort of fell off the wagon? I try to listen to their activism, but they seem to say the same talking points. I don't. What do you mean? I don't even mean I fell off the wagon. I think they don't really care about these issues, and they're in a culture where everyone around them has one perspective. So they're like, oh, I guess I'm just gonna repeat what people smarter than me have to say on this because I don't know anything about economics. I think that's what tends to be the situation. Yeah, artists I aren't as corporate lefty as you think, but they are not really put out there as much publicly because they're not serving a purpose in that capacity. Any updates on the Mark Pellegrino discussion? I mean, he's not been in New York, but he's got an open invitation, and feel free to. I mean, whenever he's in New York, we're gonna make that happen. Okay, Greg? What is your ideological core? Anarchist, private ownership, egoism. My bookshelf probably says more about me. That's true. I can speak on that. Um, Anyone that votes for Biden should be reported for elder abuse. I am I wrong for like feeling bad for this guy to some extent? Why do you pretend anarchy has no fun executions? What? I don't understand what that means. Do you mean that it's not fun to put into practice, or that people aren't killed humorously? I reject both of those premises. I think both would happen. I have remorse about our last conversation. What are you apologizing for, dude? Dude, you're being weird. I didn't speak to anyone honestly for a month. Had to get off my shoulder. Sorry about that. You're being very weird. There's nothing to apologize for. I assure you. If I don't want to talk to someone, I don't talk to them. It's really easy. Okay, hold on. You guys. Okay. The corporate press seems like McNamara and the Whiz Kids with Vietnam. Elliot, oh man, you're a smart one. The corporate press seems like McNamara and the Whiz Kids with Vietnam were Team B with the Soviet threat. You can be incredibly smart, data-driven, and wrong. Sure. But that might be what's going on here. But I don't feel like they're paying attention to the data. That's my point. They're not paying attention to the hostility coming back at them. That is something to think about, though. Good point. I typed Michael Malice in Google image and I got cum gutters. I doubt it was yours. Let's. I don't want to Google myself. I don't hate doing that. Well, that's pretty cool. My cum gutters are on point, I gotta tell you. And the shark bites are in now. Can you discuss a situation where someone has a profound lack of respect for everyone they ought to respect, family, friends, coworkers? I think it's a useful conversation talking for a lot of us in here. We're profoundly autistic. I don't. Okay, no, I don't think there's such a thing as ought. I think you're talking about that period when we're young, which I went through, when it's very Catcher in the Rye, and you think everyone's a phony, and you had all these expectations, not you, but one, and then you meet them, and you're like, oh, like, I shouldn't have had you on a pedestal. You're an asshole. Like, you meet someone who, works like an author, or you're someone who works as an athlete, or something like that. And I think when you get older after that, in my day, then you realize it's a lot more complex, and that you could still, like, Rand is a great example. Ayn Rand, the vampire novelist. There's a lot of fucked up shit about her. And a lot of things she says, it's like, okay, lady. Like, when she says, she had the same philosophy since she was 2. Like, she's like, oh, of course I have more knowledge now, but I've never had any to change in the details. Well, does that mean that you were right from the beginning, or does that mean you're stubborn as hell? I mean, it's very, and it's a lie, by the way. We know her philosophical journey now, but it's just like, it's a lie. So, does that in any way mean you shouldn't respect her? No, it's like, all right, she's awesome, but yeah, okay, there's this other stuff. So I think it gets more nuanced when you get older, especially as you find that there are really, really amazing people doing, like a lot of people, Rogan, I couldn't respect him more. A lot of people yell at him because he's like all over the map when it comes to politics, and he's kind of like a dilettante. And it's like, okay, he's not Noam Chomsky, he's not Rand, he's not some profound philosophical thinker. He's not trying to be. He's a bro. That's his job. And there's like sometimes bros contradict each other. Doesn't mean you don't respect his accomplishments and who he is as a person at all. So Biden female VP, Cuomo talked up Hillary and Cuomo. I think it's going to the smart money's on Kristen Sinema. That would be the smart pick. I do not think it's going to be Kamala Harris. I hope if she is, we're going to be in a lot of trouble because she's pure evil, by far the most evil of all the Democrats who is running for president. Hopefully it's someone you've never heard of. Jessica Tarlov on my show was saying Tammy Duckworth. She was born in Thailand. So I don't know who it's going to be. Klobuchar, I don't think it's going to be Stacey Abrams, guys. I don't think it's going to be Stacey Abrams because it'd be a really big fear for effectively electing a president, some, like lady who couldn't even get elected from Georgia. I don't see it. My family are all Democrats. I'm the black sheep. God love them, but they literally believe Biden is a decent man with a stutter. I can't reason with my mom about it, and she's generally smart about others. Okay, so, Shauna, okay, listen to me. Do you think, right now, I got this man can, which the Dear Reader shipped in for. This is new car scent. Smells nice. There's very few people I can talk to about my scented candles. No one cares. You guys don't care. I don't even really care. It's just I went down a rabbit hole. I'm like, everyone can chip in, or I'm going to have a stream. I did a stream, and I light them every day, and it makes me happy, right? Does that somehow affect our relationship or my relationship with my friends? No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter. So one of the lies of our culture is this idea that everyone has to care about politics and everyone has to have an opinion. This is bullshit. People do not have the capacity, nor should they have the time. So if your mom wants to think Biden has a stutter, smile and nod. You give her a hug, give her a kiss in the cheek, and change the subject. And that there's no why. Why is it important to you to talk to her about politics? Just smile and nod, and pretend you're sitting there. There's this GIF. That's how it's pronounced because Jif is a brand of peanut butter, so you need to have a different pronunciation. It's a heat camera. The people are red, the outside's blue. And it's a heat camera of someone farting. You could see the red come out of their ass. So when they're talking politics and they're talking about Biden has a stutter, look at them as if they're just sitting there all farting. Because it's farting out of their mouths and be like, oh, okay, cool. You don't need to engage. It's not making you happy. You're not the black sheep. You're just red-pilled. Is Greg H. drunk or rich or both? Neither. What kind of game is this? Give me some good choices. Newsom talk of succession made my week. Thoughts? I don't know what that means. What do you mean? What do you mean succession? Oh, secession. Oh. Succession means President Trump succeeded Barack Obama's president. Secession, you mean? Well, if that's on the table, I'm all about it, obviously. Could not even be happier. Liberals think they're the good guys, and we sometimes think we're the bad guys. That's what makes them so dangerous. Well, they're dangerous because they have cultural hegemony. That's the real danger. That's what we got to worry about. Hold on one second. Let me just check something quick. Okay, cool. Oh God. Okay, hold on. Okay. Cuomo will run in 2020 if he thought he could win. I agree, David. I agree. And you know what? He wouldn't be horrible. The fact that he's taking on de Blasio very publicly is speaking to his presidential ambitions. DNC would push Joe to the curb in a minute. I agree. Cuomo will run in 2024. Does Kennedy have a COVID? Her Fox show's gone. Her Fox show's gone? I did not know that. Oh, okay. I did not know that. I'll look into that. Cuomo has many chances. He could run in 2028. I mean, I got to tell you, it's really a big deal that you are the governor of the first state to get gay marriage passed through the legislature. Like, if you think about that, that's an accomplishment, no matter what you think about the issue. So yeah, he is a force to be reckoned with. Um, I think he's very good at positioning himself as a moderate, can-do guy. I think governors historically have an enormous advantage of becoming presidents over senators, or certainly over vice presidents. The last vice president to be elected before George H.W. Bush was like something like 1830, something crazy. Um, Other than, like Harry Truman, where the president died. So he's really, really well positioned. Much better than Elizabeth Warren. Remember, Elizabeth Warren was the darling of the party. Like, she was the kingmaker. Chuck Schumer had to invent a position for her in the Senate hierarchy because he needed her support and he wanted to show she's in power. And now she's a joke. Cuomo is very well positioned. Greg, I'm doing some hemming right now, and your comments are giving me a real tickle. Very sweet of Greg to run these streams for us in these difficult times. Yes, Greg, thank you. You are welcome. Elliot. Okay. Hold on. They get data analytics from Google for ad targeting. Perhaps they cannot figure the signal from the noise. Elliot, that is a very plausible scenario. That is a very, very, very plausible scenario. We all agree that something is weird. When is Thad Russell coming back? Whenever he wants, whenever he's in New York. That's an easy one. Thad has an open invite. Me and him are pals, good pals. The pig pick could be Governor Michelle Grisham of New Mexico. Yeah, no one knows who she is. Perfect. Perfect choice. Apologies for the typo. Oh, no, dude, it's fine. I just misread it. It's funny that way. Hold on, let me just get my water. Have you seen the Bernie Bros fight with AOC fans? No. Bernie Bros are mad because AOC called Pelosi Mommy Bear. AOC was on Drag Race this week, and it was annoying, and whatever. I picking at her such a boomer thing that she's kind of been forgotten in many ways. She's like yesterday's news. All right. Whew, 750 of you. Okay, I'm going to do these more often because obviously there's a need for them. There's an outlet for them. People seem to be enjoying themselves. Should I... God, I really want to start writing my next book, though. I got to get my ass in gear and start doing that. I'll figure that out shortly. 1 second, guys. 1 second. Bear with me. One second. All right, I'm back. Okay. Yeah, tomorrow I'm recording with Dave Smith for You're Welcome for Tuesday. If you got anything you would like to see us chat about, put in the locals, and we'll get to it. Have you read Bronze Age Mindset? I have not. Okay. I think political anarchy will be like democracy in 100 years. I don't know. What do you mean? Hold on. Have you read Bronze Age Mindset? Okay. So I have seen every episode of Drag Race. I've got Oscar Wilde right here on the shelf. Like, I get it. That fucking Twitter account is the gayest thing I have ever seen. And I don't understand how it's not being perceived in that way. And I have major credit to Bronze Age Pervert for doing that. I don't think he would say that's what he's doing. I take him at his word. But you're looking at it and I'm like, this is just straight gay porn. Like, I don't feel comfortable looking at this. It's very weird to me. So anyway, so yeah, I will see you guys in the locals chat, and we can tell me what I should talk about with Dave Smith, the very failed comedian, on You're Welcome, recording tomorrow, which is going to air on Tuesday. Then I'm recording with him again. I think it's going to air on Thursday or Friday. Um, yeah, I am. By the way, I looked back. I couldn't find who it was. Whoever of you recommended that I watch the video game Control, I'm having so much fun watching it. So it is very, very, very much appreciated. It's really, real fun. Hey, Michael, should Trump put the former Illinois governor Rod Blagojevich on the campaign trail? He is still fairly popular. I think that's a mistake. I don't think Illinois is in play, and it would just feed into visions of Trump being corrupt, and then it would look like tit for tat. Do you know what I mean? In the sense of like, oh, you commuted my sentence, and now I am campaigning for you. It would look very, very bad. So yeah, that is that. Okay. Whew. Oh, oh, I'm running out of breath. I am going to go eat some almonds and some milk to finish my macros. I'm gonna do my ab day. Um, I will see you all shortly. I do everything shortly. I hope you're all having. I hope this helps you guys a bit to be distracted and have fun. And I don't know why I'm all blurry. Oh, okay. Thank you. Your shows and contents are helping me keep somewhat sane. Well, Christine, that's very sweet of you. It really means a lot, honestly. Why am I blurry? We got this fancy new camera. Um, Michael, say the following disclaimer at least once every stream. New viewers don't realize, and I have to repeat every time, he does not see non-super chats. You need to pay for him to see it at all. Yes, this is true. This is accurate. Um, I hope this is a, uh, um, keeping you guys, kind of level-headed. Because this is really helping me to stay, um, grounded. I hate that term. Um, oh, thanks, Charlie. Bye. Just wanted to make it sprinkle before you left. Thanks to call. You know, I'm still finding glitter from when that girl glittered by my house. I'm still finding glitter. I'm still finding fucking glitter. Okay. I'm gonna bounce. I will see you on locals. I'm gonna do. I think the next time I might do. Should I do a stream? I'll put in the locals if I should do a stream about how to get into wet shaving, because I feel like it's a hobby that's brought me a lot of joy. Mm. Yeah, yeah. Okay, I think I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go through my shaving brushes that were all spite funded. There's 11 of them now, and they're really cool. And this is a hobby I had not heard of, and then my friend Cole introduced me to it, and then I went deep, 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 deep down this rabbit hole. Um, so yeah, I think I'm gonna cover that. All right, guys. I will see you all soon. Hope this has been fun. Stay safe, and yeah, I'll see you on locals and on Twitter.